that put me on the thing of, well, that whole study in the book of Leviticus. I remember it fairly well, and I remember being so blessed. I don't know if anybody else was. I didn't even remember going through the book of Leviticus, but it blessed me to the point where, oh, that's what God is working on. That's what he's doing, and how he is fulfilling his law. He's not done yet. And so it has set me on a course of study of, like, say, particularly his law. So, you look at the feasts. Oh, well, what are they all about? Well, the interesting thing is that you have three main feasts. You see, he does things in threes. Three main feasts that all of the males are supposed to go to every year: Passover, Pentecost, and Tabernacles. And so, how do those fit? Well, the interesting thing is that those fit with the three different parts of salvation. Passover is equivalent of justification, Pentecost of sanctification, and Tabernacle's glorification. And so you have those parts of salvation. So Passover is salvation of basically the spirit. Sanctification is salvation of the soul. Glorification is salvation of the body. And so we have a body, we have a spirit, soul, and a body. And so they're all fulfilled. And there are many things that we can gather from them. Even when I saw the poster here of the harvest, okay, what's God working on? Oh, he has a growing season. We're all in a sense of growth, and he's going to have this growing season. He's going to have a harvest. And as he has a harvest, did you realize that there are three harvests there? Passover, harvest of the barley. That was the beginning of it. Pentecost, harvest of the wheat. And then Tabernacles is the harvest of the grapes. And so, we have those things that we can see as to what God is doing, and he's doing things according to his law. The interesting thing is that the first two of those, Passover and Pentecost, are indicative of his first coming. Tabernacles is indicative of his second coming. And so, if you want to find out some of the things that have to do with what God is going to do yet for his second coming, work on the fall feasts, because there's the Feast of Trumpets. Oh, is God going to blow his trumpet when he comes? See the connections? And then you have your Day of Atonement. And if you'd follow even the Hebrew calendar, Hebrew Day of Atonement, what day was that last week? Do you realize this Tuesday is then the beginning of the Feast of Tabernacles? Well, okay, you can keep those, but the interesting thing is that we need to keep them correctly. Not of the old covenant where they're a duty, but where they become spiritual and they become a promise. And so, how we fulfill that? Oh, we don't have to go live in tents next week because of Feast of Tabernacles. That's basically what it is. But what we do is that we see that he has tabernacled in us. We are his temple. And so, there are so many things that fit. I could carry on for hours with you, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just giving you a few little seeds for you to begin to go and examine and to explore the things that God has in his law, because it is so expansive. You won't mine all of the treasures of that. You probably only scratch the surface. But you will see him, and by seeing him and seeing the expression of him, you can walk in the Spirit and not in the flesh. As it said in Romans 7, verse 14, we know that the law is spiritual. And then Paul says, but I am carnal. How are we going to see things? Mostly because we're carnal. We're going to see them because that's who we are. But when we accept Christ and we have the Spirit of God dwelling in us, then He changes those so that we can walk in the Spirit with all of those things. And so it's been a pleasure to be with you, and I'm reminded of the last message that I had shared with here at Saron. And my verse that I had used for that message was Philippians 1:6. Being confident of this very thing, that He which began a good work in you will perform it until the day of Jesus Christ. That is as current today as it was then. He will continue, and He will continue to perform that which is necessary for Him and for His glory. Thank you.
Let's sing. What's the number here, Janelle? I forgot. 139. Turn to 139. Let's stand and sing this. Sing this robustly. Great is thy faithfulness.
Summer and winter and springtime and harvest, sun, moon, and stars in their courses above, join with all nature in manifold witness to thy great faithfulness, mercy, and love. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning new mercies I see. All I have needed thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. Pardon for sin and a peace that endureth, thine own dear presence to cheer and to guide, strength
you so much for that good singing. May the Lord bless the singing of these hymns. You may be seated. This time I'm going to call up our district superintendent, Brian Wright, to offer us a few words.
Well, thank you, and it is so good to be with you and to join in this celebration. And just to share a few words, Kenneth asked me, he said, so say something district superintendenty while you're doing this. So, okay, so I'm going to try and do that. I thought about, I remember reading about, when I was going through my ordination process, we had to read about the history of the Free Church, and there's a book called What It Means to Be Free, and in it, in the history, it lists all of these churches that were founded early, and I found the page where Saron is referenced. And so I thought I might pull that out. So it's from a section in the number of years talking about the years in 1884 on to 1899, and all of the, gives all the list of the Swedish churches that were started, and then all of the Norwegian Danish churches that were started. And Saron is there in that list of, in those years, 27 churches that were launched, including the same year here. Fargo also started in the same year. And I thought I might read just a little bit what the author says about the spirit of that time. He says this, what explains this rapid growth? It most certainly was not due to strategy and planning, as those were entirely unknown to the pioneers. It, in part, of course, can be attributed to the steady flow of immigrants, those who found themselves in a strange new world with a new language, new customs, homesick, not infrequently disillusioned and disappointed. Under the circumstances, they very naturally were attracted to any gathering which brought together others of their own kind. But he goes on to say after that, but the larger measure of this growth must be attributed to the spirit of revival which broke out almost spontaneously in response to the preaching of the pioneers. No other rational explanation will suffice. He concludes with this, eloquent testimony to the fact that these revivals were much more than emotional experiences is the establishment of the many new churches in their wake. So I thought about that, and then I thought one other book that I brought up here. This is the newest book that's been put out. This is the Evangelical Heritage, also a history of the Evangelical Free Church. It's interesting, you are here celebrating 130 years of your history. The Evangelical Free Church is celebrating all of 75, so we have a lot of catching up to do. But in there it talks about, the one other thing it added was the spirit of worship, and how that spirit of revival carried on into the worship of the churches, and how that worship was revivalist worship. And the songs, the songbooks, Sankey's songbook was very prevalent at that time. I bet you guys know some of Ira Sankey's songs still today. The songbook was filled with songs by Sankey and P.P. Bliss and Fanny Crosby. You know those songs. I was asking, and so they didn't know if they had these, but there was one, Frederick Franson wrote one, The Gospel's Trumpet, and I wasn't going to even try to pronounce it in Norwegian, but those were songs that were in Norwegian, and another one that was written, The Gospel Harp, at the same time, again, a Norwegian songbook that filled the houses of worship in that revivalist moment. So I think back about that history and given that little bit of context to the moment in which this church was formed, I think it speaks to who you are today, and I think it even speaks even more to what I would call you to continue to be. You talked about the future being more important. What about the decades to come? Continue in what you were founded in. Continue in worship. I love coming to church here, and I love getting to sing the hymns and worship with you. It is so wonderful every time I get to come here. I tell the other churches, I tell our other district superintendents, you won't believe. I said, you wouldn't think about, think about little rural churches, little church in the country. I said, we got a little church in the country in our district, and they just do country church, and it's wonderful, and it's amazing, and you should go see it. Just continue that. Continue doing country church. Continue to welcome. Many of those churches, again, it was welcoming those immigrants who were lonely and disillusioned and disappointed in life, and our world is still full of those people. and they need to be welcomed, and they need to hear the good news of Jesus Christ. There are so many hurting and lonely and disillusioned and disappointed people in the world who need to hear good news. Keep welcoming them and keep reaching them. And the last one is continue to work. It was the preaching of the word of the pioneers that spread throughout all of North Dakota, all of the upper Midwest, to plant all of these free churches. The good news of Jesus Christ. Continue preaching and teaching. Don't let the gospel fade. Keep the lighthouses on. Keep the good news being preached. Keep giving and serving in the way that you have, and planting new works and starting new works. And yes, I will never forget that it's like Lundy who was involved with camp and so many other things that were started out of these churches. So keep serving in that way. Continue to worship. Continue to welcome. Continue to work. And may God bless Saron for as many decades as remain until Christ returns. Amen.
Brian, thank you so much for the encouragement. Yeah, and we love music at this church. There's no doubt about it. And I think we do a fairly good job at it, I hope. So, one of the things I was thinking about, and I haven't looked through this book yet, by the way, but Butchie and Elaine, you'll have to help me remember, or Margaret, there was a lot of pianists that sat over here and organists that sat over here. Florence Logie. Ruth Wolfstead was at the organ, wasn't she? Or is it? Yeah. Mary Lou, of course. Who else am I forgetting, Butchie? I can't remember. Who?
Did you play piano here?
Marlene. Yes, Marlene. Thank you. Yeah, Martha did. See? Yeah, Janelle and Stacy. Yeah. So it's easy to forget sometimes those pieces that are so essential to worship. And here, as in many other churches, worship comes with music too. And I never want to forget that. But thank you, Brian. Our next speaker is, I think he holds the title as the largest human being ever to be a camp administrator. Is that true, Adam? Yeah. He's from that great state of Michigan, a great state, I might add. They play good football there, too. Yes. So come on up, Adam. Good to have you here. Amen.
Thank you, brother. Good afternoon. The only one who has to adjust the mic as high as it will go. So who's after me? Is it Pastor Ken? Because we'll have to bring it all the way back down. I am so thrilled to be here today. Thank you for inviting me. I think it's great that I get to celebrate the same time we get to celebrate 100 years at Cooperstown Bible Camp. Seeing many of you here and seeing many of you at camp, it was just great. Again, I'm a poll person, just to kind of get an idea of who's either attended camp, who has worked at camp, who's been down to camp as a camper. Raise your hand. Oh my goodness, look at them all. That's absolutely amazing. That is a testimony to what God has done at Cooperstown Bible Camp. So for those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Adam Glimbowski. I'm the executive director at camp. I've been there now for almost 7 years. We came in 2019. I'm originally born and bred in Michigan. Came from Springfield, Missouri. It was 60 degrees when I left Springfield, Missouri. I got here and it was negative 30. It makes you question, all right, Lord, what you got going on here? But we have followed the call, and so far it's been a blessing to be here. So thank you for allowing me to share this day with you all today. So I'm thrilled to be able to just share my heart. Pastor Ken said 5 minutes, so I'm going to try and keep it to 5 minutes. If I stick with my notes, it will be 5 minutes. But I'm thrilled to be able to celebrate this significant milestone with all of you today, 130 years. I was truly honored to stand before all of you today and share in this moment of gratitude that you all have accomplished as a congregation. Over the past 130 years, Saron Church has been a cornerstone of faith and community in Cooperstown. Your commitment to serving God and reaching out to your neighbors has touched countless lives. And from those early days under the leadership of Reverend Ludwig Lundy, this church has not only nurtured the spiritual growth of its members, but has also played an important role in establishing Cooperstown Bible Camp. That's 100 years ago. And Reverend Lundy and Saron had a burden for sharing the good news of the gospel with others, which eventually led to the formation of Cooperstown Bible Camp. And this camp has become a vital sanctuary for youth and for families, where faith can flourish and relationships can deepen. I want to express my heartfelt gratitude for your unwavering support for Cooperstown Bible Camp. Your financial contributions, your prayers have made a profound impact, allowing us to create a space where individuals can encounter God, grow in their faith, and build lifelong friendships. Your partnership has been instrumental in helping us reach our mission to make Jesus known, and for that, we are all truly grateful. What I want to do today is I want to kind of ride the coattails of what Brian spoke on. I just want to give you 3 points of encouragement that I hope will inspire you all as you continue in the legacy of faith and service. The first one is this: celebrate your heritage of service. Celebrate. The legacy of Saron Church is woven into the very fabric of this community. Your dedication to serving others reflects the heart of Christ and inspires those around you. And as you celebrate this milestone, remember that each act of kindness and every moment spent in service and sharing the faith strengthens not only your church, but also the broader community. You have a rich history of impacting lives, and that legacy can continue to inspire future generations. Future generations. Speaking of that, the second thing is engaging with the next generation. The future of both Saron Church and Cooperstown Bible Camp rests in the hands of our up-and-coming generations. And as a camp, we aim to create a space where young people can explore their faith, develop their gifts, and become leaders in the church and in their communities. You know, I'm very thankful and encouraged that Pastor Kenneth helps lead the youth ministry in Cooperstown. And by mentoring and encouraging our young people to participate in church and in camp activities, you can help them build a strong foundation in their faith and develop a sense of belonging within the church. And lastly, I want to express, be a beacon of hope for this community. In a world, like Brian just shared, is often filled with uncertainty, Saron Church has the opportunity to shine even brighter. Your faith in action can be a source of strength and encouragement for those around you. I urge you to continue to reach out to your communities in many different ways, offering support and demonstrating Christ's love in tangible ways. Your efforts can transform lives and invite others to experience the hope and joy that come from knowing Christ. I'm reminded of the passage of Romans 10:13 through 15, where it says, "For everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved." Let me back up again. For everyone, all who call on the name of the Lord will be saved. How then will they call on him and who they have not believed? And how are they to believe in him of whom they've never heard? And how are they to hear without someone preaching? And how are they to preach unless they are sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of those who preach the good news. You have many pastors that are here who have impacted this church, who've preached, and people who have heard, and those who have accepted. Now, I'm not saying I have the most beautiful feet. I'm pretty sure a lot of us will say we don't have the most beautiful feet. But how beautiful are the feet of those who preach the good news. As you celebrate these 130 incredible years, let's look forward with faith and expectation for what God has in store for Saron and for Cooperstown Bible Camp. Your faithfulness, your love, your commitment to serving others has set a powerful example. And together, yes, together, we can continue to make a lasting impact in our community. I want to express this again. Congratulations to all of Saron Church on this fantastic milestone. It's a joy to be able to be here with you guys, and I look forward to seeing how God is going to work and continue to work through the people here at Saron Church. Thanks again for having us here today. I appreciate it.
Yes, I will bring this back down. Thank you so much, Adam. Adam's been such a blessing down at that Cooperstown Bible Camp. He's not only the administrator, but he's the cook and jack of all trades, master of some. Yeah, so thanks so much, Adam. Pastor Steve King. You know, we've almost sort of kind of adopted Steve into the family because he's played with us on several occasions. We're delighted to have a banjo in the group once in a while. And we have stories to tell. We're not going to tell stories right now, but we have stories to tell about some successes and some maybe not so successful music shows. But anyway, Steve, come on up and share what you want to share, and then let us know when to start this slideshow, okay?
Ken, LaDon, I want to thank you. Thank you for serving the church so faithfully in the years that you had. You may not always see the effect that you have, but I can guarantee you pastors that come later on do. See, pastors get to see the character that's being made of a church. Oh yes, a pastor has a part of it, but also the congregation. And I thank you, Kenneth, for carrying on. It's hard for me to fully explain my time as pastor here because it never entered my mind to ever be a pastor anywhere in any church at any time or any place. And yet, after I got done with graduate school, God placed me here. I had no idea what I was doing as a pastor. Yes, I had a degree in biblical studies. Yes, I did some teaching. I can put things together, but I had no pastoral experience. But I think even more in that, there's something else. And I want to say this in grace and love, but the church when I came was at such a low ebb that they weren't sure if they were going to be able to stay open almost Sunday to Sunday. There was real consideration of whether or not they could pay the bills, or whether should we join in church, or what should we do. And so then God brings a pastor who knows nothing about pastoring in to try to do something with this. And Lord, it just doesn't make sense. But we fumbled together. I believe that. And I say that with great honesty and with truth and with the grace of this congregation. Because as much as I pray and hope I served you, the congregation, I can't tell you, you served me so much more than I could serve you. You see, to me, this was a deviation off track of my real vocation, what I really wanted to do. And yet when God put me here, there was so much I needed to know. And God knew what I needed to know. You taught me so much about grace, so much about mercy, so much about faithfulness. I just want to share just part of a verse, and because Jerry already mentioned this several times, it's out of Joshua, and it says, "But if serving the Lord seems, now fear the Lord and serve Him with all faithfulness." And the single characteristic I think was greatest challenging me is how faithful the men and women of Saron were week in and week out. I can't tell you how many times somebody would pull in, do something, leave. They did something. They fixed something. No one knows. They never said anything. And as Jerry said, how much it took for so many people to keep this church going. And when I say thank you, it is a testimony to the faithfulness and to the people here. And I think there are some in church here, especially when you're here during a time, it's like, wow, God has done a wonderful thing. But they were faithful. and I appreciate their faithfulness. As Jerry said, I always felt home. This is home. I feel privileged every time I get to come back, and you ask me to fill pulpit once in a while, it's coming home. I do. I feel you accepted, and I hope all the pastors who've ever been here have that same experience, the grace that you have extended to us. After I was here for 8 years, and I think every pastor does, no matter if you've been here 3 or 5 years, you wonder, did we do anything? Did we accomplish anything of significance? We're here for 8 years. Yeah, we're still here. We're still a congregation. And yeah, we did a few things. And then I started putting something together. I put together sort of a commemoration of the 8 years of ministry that we had together. And what I want to do, and I showed it then, but I want to show it to you as well. And so we're going to watch what I did in one of the last Sundays I had. And a lot of you are going to see people that you know very well, dear, great, perfect people, no, but they were some godly people. That they served this church in a way that embarrasses me as a pastor. I do dare say that because they were faithful. You're going to see some of them here. And then just recollect a little bit that, this church was faithful. We did things. And you're here today. We sometimes say the past was a past, but you know what? The past is where you and I were fashioned. It's what shaped us. It's what shaped you into the man or woman that we are today. And my 8 years here was some of the most instrumental years, and I say that with great sincerity, of my time, and God using me and showing me my faults and weaknesses, but hopefully strengthening. So let's watch this together, this video that was the 8 years of ministry that I was here.